I'm Jim Bradley. I'm the author of a blog called Under the Castor Oil Tree. And I'm going to share some of this week's post with you. In case you don't know where that image under the castor oil tree comes from, it comes from the book of Jonah. Jonah is told by God to go to Nineveh, and instead he gets on a boat going the other direction. A storm comes up, they throw Jonah overboard because they know he's causing it. He's swallowed by a whale and coughed up on the shore of Nineveh. God tells him to go tell the people of Nineveh to repent. And he does, and they do. And so Jonah then sits on the hillside, very upset, saying, "Why did you bring me all this way? And you didn't destroy these people?" And God makes a tree grow up over him. And scholars think it was probably a castor oil tree. And so he sits under the tree until God sends a worm to kill the tree, and the tree dies. And Jonah sits on the hillside pondering. And that's how it ends. I mean, there's no resolution to the book of Jonah. It's my favorite book of the Bible, I think. And I, like Jonah, did not want to be an Episcopal priest. I wanted to get a PhD in American literature from the University of Virginia. I really wanted to live in Poe's room, which is possible as you're studying for your PhD, and teach literature to people in their late teens and early 20s. Teach them about Hemingway and Faulkner and Edgar Allan Poe, and probably write the great American novel. But I didn't get to do all that stuff because God called me to another role, the role of a priest in the Episcopal Church, which I never wanted to do. But now I've been sitting on the hillside pondering that for many years now. So this first post was written last Monday, and it's called Another Strange Day. Another strange day. And not just because of the Republican convention. Oh, by the way, I'm very political and all the opinions are mine. It was a strange day not just because of the Republican convention. I'll have much more about that this week, beloved, but because I had another backache night. You might remember I wrote before about a backache a week ago that sent me to the emergency room and weirdly disappeared. So they let me leave without seeing a doctor at 4:30 a.m. Well, last night I woke up at 3:30 a.m. with the same pain. Mid-back, excruciating. Nothing helped but sitting in an Adirondack chair on our deck with my feet up. And even that only made it possible to wait until urgent care opened at 8. An aside about weirdly, that violates the old trope we learned in grade school. I before E except after C, or was sounded as A in neighbor and way. It took an English major 70 years to notice that. Weirdly doesn't fit the trope. Anyway, Byrne took me to urgent care in true fashion. The pain went away as I talked to the nurse. But this time I waited for an x-ray. The doctor said she couldn't see anything. And since they used a portable x-ray machine, it wasn't as clear as the real ones. And she told me to call my oncologist and tell her all about it. Most doctors I go to are women, even my urologist. What urgent care found, tell her that what urgent care found and to have more tests. Dr. Alsamare is on vacation until Monday, but her assistants are getting the info from urgent care and will either call me or Dr. Alsamare and give me an appointment. I can only pray, and I ask you to, that I don't have another episode between now and then. Other than appendicitis years ago, I've never had such pain any other time in my life. After my appendix was removed, Bishop Smith visited me in the hospital. I woke up and saw him. I was holding out the little switch for my morphine drip and said, "Hey, Bishop, you want to try this?" He never let me forget that. More on the Republican National Convention later today. This was later last Monday, the RNC. Okay, here's the truth. I can only watch it for a few minutes at a time. I hate to be lied to, misled, and given false information. It insults my intelligence and makes me angry. The fact checkers for CNN was asked by Chris Cuomo after a report of dozens of misleading statements and outright lies, like Representative Gantz said that Democrats would ask terrorists to move in next door to you. Why didn't you fact check the Democratic convention? Cuomo asked. The fact checker replied, "I did, right here. But it wasn't news because there were hardly any misinformation. Maybe a few reaching too far, but no lies. The 4 days of the Democratic National Convention didn't come anywhere near this first night of the Republican National Convention." He does these things for a living. But I know when I'm being misled, lied to, and being intimidated with falsehoods. And that's what it is. And the president on every night? That's never happened before. He simply can't hear himself talk enough. And Mike Pompeo, speaking from a foreign country, Israel no less, about domestic politics, which is not only against the Hatch Act, but against his own State Department's clear rules. Give me a break. And Don Jr.'s girlfriend, screeching out untruths. Alas and alack. Dozens and dozens of former Republican office holders have endorsed Biden. At least 4 Republican groups are making campaign ads against the president. He has not only dismantled the country, he's dismantled the Republican Party, which I used to respect, if not vote for. Oh, and one other thing. One of the president's most virile and vocal evangelical supporters, Liberty University's president, Jerry Falwell Jr., has resigned because it has come to light that he and his wife have had a long-term sexual relationship with another man, a pool boy. Alas and alack, I used to respect, if not agree with, evangelicals, but no more, not given their blind devotion to the current president. Hard times for me and for our beloved country. This has got to end. This was on Tuesday, August the 25th. It's called A Joke by Mike Miana. He was a high school friend and a college roommate. He wrote a joke on my comments page of my blog. I hardly ever read the comments, but as I was going over some of them, I read this and I thought I would share it. It's very short. A priest, a minister, and a rabbit walk into the bar. The rabbit says, "This must be a typo." This next piece, if I can get the pages apart, is from Wednesday. And it's called anti-abortionist Abby Johnson. She spoke at the Republican National Convention. She used to work for Planned Parenthood and is now a rabid anti-abortionist. That means she also said several times that she supports head of the household voting. That means only one vote for each married couple. Effectively, she wants to take the vote away from women almost exactly 100 years after the 19th Amendment gave women the vote. She said, when confronted, imagine that a wife and a husband agreeing, or a wife who honors her husband as the head of the home. Gasp, she said. What a biblical concept. That's who votes for the president, who will not be named here. Disenfranchising women. Do you want to vote with her? Ponder that, then vote. From Thursday, August 27th, the storm. I went to Stop and Shop for a few things this afternoon. As soon as I got in the car, it started to rain really, really hard. I could hardly see on the mile drive back home. I sat in the car for listening to NPR for almost 20 minutes, waiting for it to slacken up. It didn't. So I got soaked during the 15-foot walk to my car, from my car to my house. My cell phone was getting notifications every 3 minutes or so about a tornado warning. Global warming is screwing everything up. This is Connecticut, not Oklahoma. Why are we getting tornadoes? And who's going to address this? Our current president? I think not. He thinks global warming is a hoax. The notifications told me to go into the basement or an interior room, a room without windows. The only rooms in our house without windows are a downstairs half bath and our second bathroom upstairs. I told Myrna I'd take the downstairs one, and she and Bridget could take the larger upstairs one. But we didn't have to. The worst is over in this storm. But we have to address global warming, which only Biden-Harris will do. Mark the date and vote. This was from Friday, August 28th. It's called 2800. This is my 2803rd post. I never knew I thought that much. I prefer to drift through life, reading books, cooking, walking the dog, talking with friends. That last one is out because of COVID right now. But obviously, 2803, I am an opinionated man. So here's an opinion. The DNC was about possibility and hope, while the RNC was about gloom and doom. Last night, the president seemed to blame Joe Biden and the Democrats for all the bad things that had happened since he was president. Pause and ponder that. At the RNC, it seemed like COVID-19 didn't really exist, that the economy isn't in tatters, and that all the violence, very little when you consider it, the entire Black Lives Movement, is Joe's fault. Elect Joe, the message was, and the country is going to hell in a handbasket. As if we aren't already in hell during the president's term. Things are so strange. And what was really strange was over 1,000, almost 2,000 people at the president's speech with no social distancing and far between masks. What does that say? What does that say to you? Everything is fine? Everything is definitely not fine. We're in the midst of a group of crises brought on by this administration. There are already 4 COVID cases from the RNC in Charlotte. What will we know in a week or 2 about last night? This is from Saturday, August the 29th, just yesterday. It's called Autographs. I saw the president online in Louisiana viewing the hurricane damage, as he should have been. But he was writing his autographs on black pieces of paper and giving them out to people at a meeting, telling them you can get $10,000 for this on eBay. I went on eBay for the first time in my life and saw that autographed copies of The Art of the Deal were selling for $500 for best offer. I know lying is part of this deal, but why would he tell people who could really use $10,000 now? Why would he tell him that when it isn't true? Lordy, lordy, I don't get this guy. This is Jim Bradley, the author of The Castro Love Tree. All opinions that you heard today are mine and mine alone. And it's been a pleasure to share them with you. And I hope to see you again soon. Be well and stay well. Wear a mask. I'll see you later.